Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you might be joining from. I am HR Funk, and welcome to HR's Firing Line. This is the show that's largely determined by all of you and your comments, and I see a lot of you have lined up already in the comment section. Thank you for joining. And I've got a couple of things to tell you about. First off, before we get into the show, I've been looking forward to this all day, as I always do when I have a live stream coming up. Mimi is gone tonight, so I'm home by myself. And even Chewy has abandoned me, so I am actually all alone this evening. But the one of the things I wanted to tell you is tomorrow for the premiere video, and I'm going to try to remember to say this a couple of times during the show. I will not be present. We have a prior engagement tomorrow. In fact, Mimi is going to rouse me out of the rack at 0 dark 30. I'm going to have to jump up, get dressed, and get out the door. Depending on where we are, and if I'm not driving and I have my phone available, I might be able to check in around the time the video premieres just to say hi, but I'm sure I'm not going to be able to be present for the entire thing. So, for all of you who are going to be watching that, I hope you enjoy it. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, whatever, be sure to post that in the comment section of the video, and I will try to reply to that as quickly as I can. The video tomorrow, I think, is going to be a good one. It's going to be the first accuracy test of the new Remington SPS varmint that I had in the feature video last Saturday. And in that video, if you missed it, I was going over all the features and functions and comparing it to my vintage Model 700 police rifle that was my old work rifle for a number of years, or for many years, actually. And one that I was able to purchase from the department prior to my leaving. So it still is part of my collection, and it will be part of my collection forever as far as that goes. And let me say welcome to all of you who are joining. I know I saw Jeeps Cafe here. By the way, Jeeps Cafe, the little icon you have that shows up for your videos always reminds me of this little Jeep that Mimi got me a number of years ago, that is a replica, as you can see, of a USMC M151A1. You can tell it's an A1 because it has the divided windshield. So if the windshield was broken on one side, they only had to replace half of it and not the whole thing. But anyway, I always see that in your icon there when you come in onto the videos or chiming in here. So I wanted to show you that. Jeff Tim is here. Welcome, Jeff. And by the way, Jeff sent me a great question earlier today on a new sniper rifle, designated marksman's rifle, whatever, that was posted, I guess, on the firearms blog. Great question from Jeff. I sent back a response that I hope was informative as far as my opinion is on it. But welcome to Jeff. Ray Bodie is here. Thanks for joining, Ray. And Rich Powers is here from just right down the road here in Orville. Thanks for joining, Rich. Art Grote is here. So lots of folks joining. All's at Full is here. It says the girlfriend is not home tonight. She's going to be a little bit late, so I'm glad that you took time to join us. Paul, aka Headhog, says Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas back to you, Paul. And lots of you saying welcome to each other. Delaware Dave is here, and Delaware Dave became a new channel member this evening. Thank you so much for joining. I throw this out, or at least I try to, in every live stream. My channel members are just incredibly important, because you are the ones that really help out in those times where YouTube is demonetizing all kinds of videos and my ad revenue is going down. I have that steady stream coming in from the channel members. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is vitally important. And by the way, speaking of YouTube, I feel like a broken record sometimes talking about YouTube, but they've been on a bit of a tear lately, and they have been deleting comments. I think, truthfully, they are deleting a lot of views from my videos. I actually have a screen recording showing where there were a certain number of views on a video that had just gone live, and then I would refresh the screen and it would go down by like 200, and then I refresh the screen again, it would go back up a little bit, and I refresh the screen again, it go back up a little bit, refresh it again, it go back down by about another 200. So it was literally like they were deleting views as they were coming in, and I know they are deleting comments as well. I got an email from someone the other day saying that he had posted this same comment like 3 or 4 times, and YouTube kept deleting it. He was asking me if I knew why, and I did not know why. It is completely random. It is arbitrary. It is YouTube. And I think a lot of this might be YouTube trying to start gearing up now for next year's presidential election. And they're already getting weird. Well, they've been weird for a long time, but just with the antics they're engaging in and deleting things and one thing and another. If you post a comment and it goes away, please repost it. If you repost it a couple of times and it doesn't get through, feel free to email me. My email is listed in the info section of my channel, so you can always send me an email to this email right here, by the way, hrfunk@zoominternet.net. And if you would like to join me on the show this evening, please send me an email to that email address. I will forward you a link and you can join. Now, I always try to throw this in. You can join a number of different ways. If you don't want people to see you, when I send you the link, you'll have the option to not activate your camera, and you can join just with audio. We'll have a discussion back and forth, or you can join with your camera activated as well, and there'll be a split screen, and I'll be on one side, you'll be on the other, and we can have a conversation back and forth that way. So anybody that wants to be a guest on the show, and it's been a long time since I've had a guest, by the way, so please, if you would like to join in, have a conversation about any of the topics that are appropriate for the show, which is virtually anything. But I always throw this out there too. It is a family show, so please keep any comments, questions, remarks, whatever, at least PG rated. So in case there are any kids watching or anything, we don't have to worry about that. So back over to the comments. We've got Keith Gregory here, and DT is joining from Oregon. All Gone By is here. Nathan Huxtable says, howdy, y'all. I'm at PRI in Indy. I'm not sure what PRI is. For Incredible Racing Trade Show. I haven't been able to catch a live show due to work. Well, I'm glad you're here tonight, Nathan. Ray Bodie says, beep, beep, I'm a Jeep. Joseph Neary says, good evening. Good evening to you. Jeeps Cafe says we can talk about ex-girlfriends since the wife's not. No discussion of ex-girlfriends. They might be watching. Ex-girlfriends, ex-wives, you never might know who might be tuning in. Ben Crane is here. Ben Crane got the joke that I put into the promo that I did for the live stream tonight when I said I was behind the tinfoil HRF microphone. That was a tip of the hat to Rush Limbaugh. I am a big Rush Limbaugh fan, and he would start his show a lot of times saying that he was behind, firmly ensconced behind the golden EIB microphone. My microphone will never be golden, not like Rush's. It's tinfoil at best. It might be a tin can with a string attached to it. So I always appreciate all of you who are joining, and this show is always so much fun for me. I hope it's a lot of fun for you as well. Ray Bodie can't count the number of times they've deleted his comments. Yeah, it is so frustrating for me because there are times that when a comment comes in on a video, it hits my phone and it comes in as a email message on my phone, and I'll look at the comment on my phone and I'll go back to YouTube to try to respond to it, and it's just not there. So I'll hit the reply on the email message on my phone and it doesn't go to anywhere, and that tells me that comment has been deleted, and there's no way I can let the person know that it's been deleted. So I feel bad because somebody's posted a comment or asked a question or whatever, and there's no way that I can reply to them whatsoever. So please, if that happens to you, like I said, repost your comment, send me an email or what have you, so I can at least try to address whatever it is that you're contacting me about. Command Center 10-8 is here. Good evening to you. Man, I'm going to try to figure out how to pronounce this. Kyle the Freyan says they delete my comments all the time. I apologize for that. I really have no control over it. Rich Powers, same here. So his comments get deleted as well. There are certain words which cause deletion, but it doesn't have any rhyme or reason, because sometimes people just have a comment like, hey, I really appreciate that, or thanks for this, or what, and it's gone. And it's just so frustrating. Jeff Tim, if you look for alternatives, the problem with the alternatives, whether it's Rumble or Huge Tube or any of these other ones, is there's just not the viewership there. So if I want to reach people with the videos, I basically have to be on YouTube. If I'm on YouTube, I'm at their mercy. So it's again very frustrating. I had high hopes at one point in time that there was going to be an alternative to YouTube that was going to be friendly to firearms content, but that really has never materialized. So unfortunately for now, I'm pretty much stuck here. Scott Person is here, says he picked up a Marlin Model 99 in near new condition, not bad for a 64-year-old firearm. Cool. That's very cool. You know what? I was at Hot Munitions the other day and they, this is silly. They've got a Marlin Model 60 there. It's not in tremendously great condition. It's in okay condition. It's like $200 and that thing is calling to me. And I know it's because back when I was a kid, especially this time of year, I'd be looking through the JC's Panties catalog or looking through the Sears catalog, and there was always that section in the sporting goods that had firearms, and one of the rifles listed in with the 22s was always a Marlin Model 60. I can remember that as a 10-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid, whatever, lusting for one of those things. And now all these years later, I have no need for it whatsoever, but I want the thing. So it might show up in a video one of these days. If nobody goes in there and buys that thing pretty soon, it might be coming home with me one of these days. Russ Michael just snuck in to say hello from Pennsylvania. Hello, Russ. I hope you're not a Steelers fan. If you are, I'm going to have to delete you. No, just kidding. Terry Barnes says, good evening from Kentucky. Good evening to you, Terry. Ben Crane, I drive 2.5 hours to, wait a second, 2.5 hours to join live for a stream, and he says he hasn't had a guest. Oh, come on. I put you on the video. You were looking in through the window like a stalker. I even mentioned that. J78 is here. Howdy to you. Paul Freed from Abilene, Texas. Thanks for joining, Paul. Okay, Nathan Huxtable says PRI is performance racing industry, 1,000 vendors, race car, hot rod parts. Cool. Sounds like a lot of fun. My first car, I don't think I ever told this in a video or a live stream. My very first car, and at that time, 16 years old, I was reading Hot Rod magazine like a fiend. My very first car was a 69 Firebird. And I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. I thought I had a race car. It had a Hurst 4-speed shifter. It had a 350 engine. And it was a piece of junk. It had at least 2 different colored fenders on it that somebody had put on over the years. If I accelerated too fast, there was a leak that would blow oil out of the top of the oil filter onto the exhaust manifold. So it looked like a smoke screen going out from behind me. I didn't care. I had a Firebird. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. So 16-year-old me would love being there with you at that show. And I'm going down through the comments here again. Vegas AB grew up with Rush playing at home. Or wait a second. Oh, playing at home and in the car. I started listening to Rush. I was probably in my early 30s. It must have been around 1991 or thereabouts. So maybe not even 30 yet, because I didn't turn 30 until 1996, I guess. Started listening to him then and never stopped. I thoroughly enjoyed his show. I liked his commentary. I try to, in my own way, sort of pattern these live streams after his show. Now, anything I do is a poor, way distant, 100th place behind Rush, or maybe 1,000th place behind the Rush. But to whatever degree I can, I try to emulate the show that he did. I miss him to this day. We're coming up on the third anniversary of his death, and yeah, there are so many things that have happened over the last 3 years that when it occurs, I think, man, I wish Rush was here to comment on that, and of course, he's just not. But yeah, that's I guess what I'll say about Rush at this point. Greg Shearer is here from southeastern Illinois. Ray Bodie, they're using the algorithm that deletes comments, certain keywords. Yeah, I don't know though, because like I said, a lot of the words that when I see the comments that are deleted, there's nothing in there that should be controversial or anything else. It's just a kind of a benign comment, and all of a sudden it gets deleted. They just hate you. Yeah, that's probably it. Cavalier Outdoors, Rumble seems like the best option. I've got maybe, I don't know, 30 videos on Rumble, and collectively, all together, all 30 videos pr- might have maybe 500 views. I get 500 views in the first couple of hours, usually, that a video is posted on YouTube. So that gives you an idea, and I've had videos on Rumble for almost 2 years now, and again, collectively about 500 views, as opposed to 2 or 3 hours on YouTube for one video getting 500 views. So that gives you an idea of the disparity between the platforms as far as the audience that's there and the number of views that are potential. Nathan Huxtable has a nylon Apache 77. Cool. I got Mimi's nylon 66 in the safe behind me. And sooner or later, I might have to take that thing out again. It's a lot of fun. 1712 guy, I am very blessed. So thank you. Luke B got a sticker. Wait a second. Got a sticker that I have been in years. Okay. So apparently you've been a member. I'm having a hard time deciphering that one. Sorry. Alex Smith, do you own a double stack 1911? No, I don't. All my 1911s are single stacks. Whenever I hold one of the double stacks, it feels like I'm holding onto a brick. I'm kind of a 1911 purist, and I don't know. I guess I just prefer the feel of the single stacks. 1712, thank you for your service. Thank you. I appreciate that. Paul Freed had a nylon 60. I'm not sure what HC is. Took 20 and 25 capacity magazines. Love that gun. Cool. Jeeps Cafe, thanks for your revolver cleaning video. That put you on that you put out in the past. It helped me a lot. Good. I'm glad it did. And that was it's been a long time since I made that video. That's probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. But I do remember doing it. Unless you mean the one where I was reconditioning the Model 66 that somebody had gunked up on the inside. That was a little bit more recently. Delaware Dave, sad to say, my hometown is Ilion, New York, has finally lost Remington Armory. This ends 207 years of gun making in my town. Has devastated the entire county. I feel so bad for those of you there. I have attended the Remington factory. I attended an armorer's course there in the mid 1990s. I went there some years later with Mimi, and we went through the museum. I For political reasons, I completely understand the new management wanting to move the firearms manufacturing process to Georgia, but there is so much history there, including, like I said, a little bit of my own, and I so hate to see that plant close. It's just, it's a sad day. I feel your pain, Delaware Dave. I don't know. There's not anything else I can say other than I wish that was going to be different. Paul Puglia, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, says, When and where is your next public appearance? I don't know. It's not scheduled yet. The one that I did at House of Pain Armory, or not House of Pain Armory, but House of Pain. Um, that one kind of came about out of the blue. I was in there one day and I said, "Hey, I was thinking about doing a live stream, sort of live on location sometime. Would you guys like to do that?" They were all for it. And we talked back and forth, and we came up with Veterans Day because they were trying to think of something to do on Veterans Day, and it just came together that way. It was so much fun. Thanks to all of you who stopped by. Thanks to all of you who watched the live stream that I did from there. Oh, and by the way, speaking of House of Pain, please go to the House of Pain website. They are selling. Now, this looks like a miniature rifle case because it is. But inside of it, they are selling these. I can't even get the thing open. It's marine proof. They are selling these pens, and this is the Pewter and Purple Heart pen. And the proceeds for these are all going to veterans benefit services. They sell for about $50. This was $49.99. And when I was in there the other day, I was talking to Mark at House of Pain, and he said, why don't you take this with you, and you can show it and talk about it in your videos and whatever. I bought this. I was so impressed by the program and the idea of supporting our veterans. I coughed up $50, bought this myself, and I'm trying to think now. I might give it to my son as a Christmas gift, so I hope he's not watching. But anyway, please go to House of Pain. They're great pens. It's for a great cause. And again, it comes in a cool little rifle case, so that's neat. All's at full. Ben Crane. He's talking to Ben Crane. I don't know why he's talking to Ben Crane, but he's talking to Ben Crane. Rush, Scott Person. Rush was one of my best friend's parents' cousins. Really? That's cool. Cannot remember if it was his mother's cousin or his father's cousin. Wow. Neat. Spatula City will be running a Christmas sale. For any of you that don't know, Spatula City was one of the parody commercials on Rush's show. And this time of year, when you hear Mannheim Steamroller, that always takes me back because he would use Mannheim Steamroller for his bumper music. Luke B. Ronald Reagan had a son that used to do an AM talk radio. I think I remember that. I can't think of his name, but I think I remember the show. And I'm just scrolling down through some of the comments now. Oh, Scott Lyle, thank you. Made a $20 donation to the channel. Says my first car was a Pontiac Catalina. That's cool. With a 421 and a 4-barrel carburetor. When I stepped on the pedal, I could watch the gas. My friend, my best friend in high school had a Pontiac Bonneville, and his was it was a mid 60s Bonneville. It was a 65, 66, something like that. Huge boat of a car, but the thing was in mint condition. And we could pack, like, I don't know, 2 dozen of us in there or something like that, and go out running around in the evening. So it was a cool car. I'll tell you this story because it was my one brush with the law as a teenager. We went to the movie theater in Ashland, Ohio. So any of you familiar with northeastern Ohio or north central Ohio probably know where Ashland is. We went to the movie theater there, and the parking lot was back behind the theater. And he pulled up and he parked his car in a parking space, and it was on a little bit of an incline. So we went inside, and I'll never forget. I remember the movie we watched. We watched the movie The Dead Zone, based on a Stephen King book. Good movie, by the way. Starred Christopher Walken. But anyway, we came back out of the theater after the movie was over, and his car was gone. And we thought it was stolen. So the police department was more or less at the other end of the parking lot where we had parked behind the theater. So we walked over to the police department, Ashland Police Department, and we went in. Of course, the dispatcher's window is there, and we said, "Hey, we're here to tell you about this, car. We parked it, It's gone, apparently stolen. So we're standing there in a little outer lobby. The next thing that happens, a couple of detectives usher us back into the back and put me in one room and him in another room, and they're interrogating us. What happened? Apparently, my friend forgot to put the car in uh, park when he parked the car. Of course, old 1960s car, so you could still turn off the ignition in the dashboard without it being in park. And when we went inside the theater, or while we were inside the theater, the car coasted back down that incline and crashed into another car. Well, the owner of that other car came out and found it. They called the police department and they reported it as a hit skip. So my friend's car got towed. They took a crash report, one thing and another. So when we went stumbling over there, they thought that we had taken off running or whatever after the car crashed into the other one. So they're interrogating us, and I was I don't know, 16 years old, scared to death. And this detective is telling me, you need to come clean right now, or you're going to jail or whatever. And I'm like, I don't even know what we went to watch a movie. So then they're out in the hallway between the two rooms, between where I am and my buddy is. And the one detective says to the other, loud enough so we can both hear it, well, if they're lying, just put them both in jail. So now I'm thinking, oh no, I'm going to jail. And probably that was the safest place for me, because if I get out of jail, my dad's going to kill me. Um, Eventually, this goes back and forth and back and forth. And they finally decided, I guess, that we weren't lying. We were telling the truth. So they kicked us out. Oh, by the way, Paul Freed, thank you. Another $20 donation. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyway, they let us out, but now we didn't have any way to get home. So we had to call my friend's dad to come and get us at the police department and drive us home. And now I got to explain to my parents what's going on and everything else. And my friend actually got it a little bit worse than I did, because now his car was in the impound lot, so he had to pay a tow bill and an impound fee to get his car back out of the impound lot. But anyway, that was my one brush with the law while I was a teenager, and fortunately, I made it through the experience, and I hopefully came out a little bit wiser. Anyway, back to the questions, because you are all making comments and probably thinking, I wish this guy would shut up. Michael Reagan, that's his name. Let's see. Ben Crane, if so, Dunn talk. Wait a second. If so, Dunn is talking to me. I'm not seeing it. You're responding to my last messages. Don't use the C word. YouTube doesn't like that. Okie dokie. KD Cowboy, the biggest gun shop in our state, sold to the county for first responder training. I saw your email about that. So yeah, that's a heck of a thing. Yeah, and it sounds like it must be a done deal at this point. So that's too bad. Ben Crane, I stay on the naughty list. Ray Bodie, my grandmother worked at Winchester Repeating Arms back in the day. Cool. That was real good. I hope she had some great stories to tell. Crane finally got the Wu flu. Uh-oh. So far, it's not that bad. Well, hopefully it doesn't get any worse. Delaware Dave, apparently he's replying to Nathan Huxtable. So, okay. Hot 8 is here. Glad you made it. Red Dirt, was your father also a Marine? No, my father was not. My father actually was very much opposed to my enlisting in the Marine Corps. He, tried to talk me out of it, thought it was a bad idea. But what was funny was when I graduated from boot camp, he came down, he and my mother and my grandparents came down to watch the graduation ceremony. And he was like so proud. He wanted, his own Marine Corps ring. He wanted a T-shirt. So after after I became a Marine, he thought it was the greatest thing in the world. But prior to that, he was not at all in favor of that. All's it flu, swine flu in 2018. Oh, geez. Intubated in 2020, rhinovirus. My lord. Wow, you need to try to keep yourself healthy. That's a heck of a thing. A couple of hecks of things. Daryl Walton picked up a Smith& Wesson end frame the other day. You might enjoy sometime because it's so odd. Model 544 5-inch Texas Sesquicentennial 4440. I've seen pictures of those, so that's cool. Great revolver. Are you planning on shooting it? I know the ones that I've seen have been, in cases, and I think they've probably been unfired. I don't know if I could bring myself to shoot one of those or not. Of course, you'd have to find some 4440 ammunition to go with it. Teddy Two Guns has an end frame on his hip right now. Good for you. I've got my 1911 Tank Commander on my waist right now, so that's the one that's with me. So we've got some good vintage firearms here. Paul Woodall, top of the evening to you. Stuart Grimm just got over the Kung flu. Glad you got over it. Keith Gregory, where did you go to boot camp? Paris Island? Yes, Paris Island. I got there April 13th of 1985, and I was there until the day before my birthday. I graduated on July 3rd of 1985. My birthday is July 4th. Ray Bodie should have gone to the Marine Corps instead of the Army. And there's been a lot of days I wish I would have stayed in the Marine Corps instead of getting out. CO 254, hi from Ohio. Hi to you. We're in Ohio. All's at full, lived in Puerto Rico for 13 years, never got sick, came back to meet his grandfather, and it all started. Yeah. I would imagine in that warm climate in Puerto Rico, probably it's fairly healthy, I would imagine. Paul Puglia, I hear revolvers making a big comeback. Is that true? I don't know. I see some revolvers out there, and I see some new models coming out periodically. I don't know if it's to the point where I could say I think they're making a comeback. I think it might be more accurate to say they're just sort of maintaining. There is that uh, group of individuals or group of shooters who prefer the simplicity of revolvers, and they don't want to have to deal with magazines and not have to worry about malfunctions or whatever else. And they gravitate toward the revolvers, and they're probably always going to be there. I mean, revolvers are just as good for defensive tools now as they were, whatever, 150, 200 years ago. So uh, I think there's probably always going to be that market for good revolvers. Will Am I says the 952 FS is now considered vintage. I suppose it is because it first was introduced or first adopted by the military in 1985, and that's now almost 40 years ago. That's hard to believe, but yeah, I suppose it probably is considered vintage. By the way, I had a couple of things I wanted to mention too. Again, just for anybody that didn't hear me say this before, I'm not going to be present for the premiere video tomorrow. I've got another obligation, so please watch the video. And if you have any questions or comments, make sure you post those in the comment section. And I feel like the video production here lately has been a sprint because it's been like one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And a lot of the videos that I've been putting out are sort of like introduction videos for things that I'm going to be continuing on, like the Mac 1014. That's one where, the videos that I put out so far was just to make everyone aware of that shotgun. I'm going to be doing some more testing with it moving forward as we get into colder weather and I go out and do some adverse weather testing and things like that. So stay tuned for that. The Remington 700 SPS varmint, that's another one that, I had the first video last week. Tomorrow is going to be the initial accuracy test, and that's pretty much going to be a winter project working with that. I had the Hilux M40 rifle scope. That's another one that is probably going to be a follow-up or two. So a lot of different things that I've been putting out lately that are going to carry over into the new year. I've got a new handgun evaluation that's going to be come out. That's probably not going to come out until after the new year. It's probably going to be one of my first videos in 2024 is going to be a new handgun evaluation. Um, got some other things jotted down here. I'm trying to read my notes. um, anyway, uh, all kinds of stuff coming up. So please stay tuned. Oh, the week of Christmas. I'm probably not going to have a video the week of Christmas. Everybody has got better things to do that week than watch me or anybody else on YouTube, including Rabbi. Rabbi, if you see this, you've got something better to do too. You know, spend time with the family, go see a movie, whatever. But everybody has got better things to do that week than to watch YouTube. So that week of Christmas, there's not going to be anything. It'll pick back up the following week and then carry right over into the new year. Back to the comments here. And I got to back up a little bit because I missed some. Keith Gregory, Taurus has an optic ready revolver. I don't think I've seen that. I'll have to keep an eye out for it. KD Cowboy, right before my departing flight from the Philippines, someone gave me a Tang mixed with water. Thought it was orange juice, only drank a tiny bit. Flight back was an experience. When I got out of the Marine Corps the first time, which was in March of 1989, they processed me out at Camp Pendleton, California, shipped me down to San Diego to the airport there to fly back here to Ohio. And I remember I had a Long Island iced tea at the airport bar while I was waiting for my flight. And it was really good. I told the bartender, hey, that was one of the best Long Island iced teas I ever had. He says, do you want another one? Sure. So I drank drank a second one. I slept from San Diego to Pittsburgh. And when I got to Pittsburgh, they put me on a commuter flight and got me back to Cleveland. So I'm right there with you, KD. CO254 was watching your Kel-Tec sub 2000 video and saw you were live. Love the chat. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching the videos and thanks for joining in. KD Cowboy safer to drink the booze. Paul Woodall acquired a Smith & Wesson 686 Plus for Father's Day. Absolutely love it. Cool. Great wheel gun. Ray Bodie, you're right. We're not old. Paul Free went into the Air Force in 1984, was 17 and had graduated high school. Mom had to sign the papers. I recall that if you were 17, your parents had to sign for you. Turned 18 of basic training October 31st, got birthday cards. TI was not happy about it. And military police training for me was at Lackland Air Force Base. So I left Parris Island, as I said a little while ago, in July of 1985. I was home on leave for a little bit, and then I went to Lackland Air Force Base for the MP training there. And we actually trained in the Air Force School. So there was a portion of the training that was strictly done by the Marines, and then the law enforcement portion of it was done by with the Air Force. But it was such a like weird experience for me to go from Marine Corps boot camp to Lackland Air Force Base, which was not the same. It was just kind of a brain spin. I kept waiting for people to start yelling and screaming at me, and it didn't happen. So it took me a while to get acclimated to Lackland. SOS, your camera is focused on the mic. Really? I don't have any way to change the focus. I'm using the camera that's built into my computer, so it's kind of set. I don't have any way to change it. Delaware Dave in the USAF as a C-5 Galaxy aircrew member. I always thought those were cool aircraft. Those would land every once in a while on Marine Corps air stations. And whenever we would have a C-5 on deck, we always had to put a guard out there. And every so often, that guard was me. And I'm out there all night long walking around this gigantic aircraft, keeping an eye on it. But I always thought they were really cool. So just gigantic aircraft. And you had a Smith& Wesson Model 15, and that's what the SPs carried back at that time, was a Model 15. And I'm scrolling through the comments now, looking for something that's directed toward me. Ray Bodie's 18th birthday was at basic training. Nathan Huxtable, what's your thoughts on the Savage Impulse straight pull bolt action? I don't think I know anything about it. I don't think I realized Savage was making a straight pull rifle. Will MI, is a coach shotgun just as effective as a tactical shotgun? At least for 2 shots, it is. I wouldn't want to stand in front of it. Charles Mullins, I'm dying for a 3-inch nickel 44. I have wanted a Smith & Wesson 3-inch 624 for a million years, and the rare times that I see one these days, the price is so astronomical that I've never been able to buy one. I had a chance to buy one years ago for a reasonable price, and there were 2 firearms in the case that I wanted. I bought the other one with the plan of going back and buying the 624 a week or 2 later. And when I went back, of course, it was gone. But yeah, I've always kind of wanted a 3-inch 44 special. Mr. Goldenrod, what's the manufacturer of the muzzle brake on your 1991 700P? It's from Control, spelled Khantrol. It's Control Solutions, I think. And interestingly enough, I was just talking to the gentleman who owns that company a couple of days ago on the phone, and he's going to be sending me another muzzle brake for this rifle that I'm working on now. So you're going to be seeing another one of those, and he's sending me one for a AR-15 as well. So great guy, extremely knowledgeable. In fact, I'd like to bring him on for a live stream someday, because I'm talking to him, and his knowledge of, physics and the muzzle brakes and how they work and everything else was just fascinating to listen to. So hopefully I can get him on someday, and all of you will be able to hear that as well. And again, just sort of scrolling down here. Nathan Huxtable, anybody that celebrates Happy Hanukkah? Yes. To anybody who celebrates any holidays this time of year, Mimi has a shirt she was wearing today. It says Merry Everything. So I kind of go along with that as well. Scott Person, Ruger discontinued the SP-101. I did not know that. That is shocking. That's been around forever. I kind of thought that was one of their mainstays in their line. Teddy Two Guns, I don't drink much, but I always drink in uniform on a plane just because they told me I wasn't supposed to. A little bit of a reverence there. And a lot of you guys are talking to each other. I'm just scrolling down through here looking for comments directed at me or toward me. Paul Freed, once you're out of basic at Lackland, they leave you alone. We had a stepped program of phases, but by 1 month we were walking around in our civilian clothes when off duty. Had a lot of fun. Yet when the day I got to Lackland, I had just gotten off the plane at San Antonio and taken a taxi, and they dropped me off. I think there was a visitor center, if I remember there, and I'm in that visitor center waiting for somebody from the Marine detachment to come and pick me up. And there was a young airman in there, and I looked at him. I thought he's probably about the same age as I am. He's probably been in the Air Force about as long as I've been in the Marine Corps. So I struck up a conversation with him, and I said, hey, how long you been in the Air Force? He'd been in like 2 weeks, and he was just like sort of hanging out in the visitor center, cooling out there. Like, what? 2 weeks at Paris Island, and we were getting screamed at and, doing push-ups till we died and everything else. So just again, that was a very a culture shock experience for me going to Lackland Air Force Base right from Paris Island. 1712 guy, would you be interested in doing a full bench and range review of the ATI Millsport 556? If so, how can I get in touch with you? Easiest way is through my email right here, hrfunk@zoominternet.net. If you send me an email there, I can respond directly to you and we can talk about that. Short answer is yes, I'm always interested in reviewing anything that I haven't reviewed previously. So I would definitely be interested in that. Dahlia Murray, Merry Christmas, Marie. Merry Christmas to you. Donald Ordell, what are your thoughts on the Gen 1 through 3 Smith & Wesson semi-auto pistol as a retired LE shooter with some skills? I find the 4006 TSW CHP retirees to be outstanding. I am a huge fan of the third generation Smith & Wessons. My very first duty pistol as a civilian police officer was a Smith & Wesson 5904. I followed that up within about a year when the 4006 was brand new. I traded my 5904 on a 4006. I had that for a couple of years. I switched departments and I was able to continue carrying my 4006 for a little while there. And then the department purchased firearms for everybody to issue, and they purchased 5943. So I was back to a 59 series 9mm. Carried that for about 10 years. I cannot speak highly enough about the third generation Smith & Wessons. They are drop dead reliable. They are great, great pistols. I have a number of them in my collection right now. So I think they're fantastic. Hope that answers your question. KD Cowboy shot his Ruger Blackhawk 357 today. Cool. Teddy Two Guns. Went to infantry basic. You can yell at me all day and I'll just ignore you. Paul Freed, the dude that was there 2 weeks in, was on casual status, probably being processed. I think he was. I think that was actually true. In fact, I think that's what he told me, but still, it just boggled my mind. Tim says, and then you'll leave Paris Island for a restful combat overseas. Yeah, well, that's yeah, that's kind of what Marines do. Oh, by the way, that reminds me, something I was going to mention today. If any of you out there are Operation Desert Storm veterans, there's a long backstory to this to fill you in on everything, but the short version of the story is I was looking at my DD-214 the other day, and I realized I rated a medal that I never knew that I did. When I got recalled into the Marine Corps in 1991 for Operation Desert Storm, and I've told this story before, I was sent down to New River Air Station in North Carolina to replace Marines that were sent over to the Gulf. And that's where I sat for the duration of Operation Desert Storm. So I have no heroic stories to tell or anything like that for that time of that operation. But when we got out, they just sort of unceremoniously booted us all out. All of us who were in the inactive ready reserve, they wanted to get us out as fast as they could so they could stop paying for us. And I never knew that I rated a medal from that time. I rated a National Defense Medal. So the times you've seen me when I'm doing the Marine Corps birthday video and things like that, and I've got the 3 ribbons on there, I actually was supposed to have a 4th one and never realized it. So I went to the local VA office the other day here in our county, and I said, are there any other medals that I rate, or anyone from Operation Desert Storm rates? And there's several of them that were approved for people who were part of Operation Desert Storm, but most of them you had to actually be in the Middle East in order to qualify for. So if you're like me and you got recalled in and then you got unceremoniously booted out and nobody ever awarded you, a medal or ribbon or whatever, you might want to look into that and just see what you rate because at this point where you might be thinking about, putting that together into a display with your, medals and ribbons and things like that, it's going to be nice to have all of them on there as opposed to, not having some you didn't even know that you rated. Paul Woodall says he had a bad experience with an EAA Windicator 357 Magnum, year and a half into owning it. Went back to the manufacturer 3 times. So that's too bad. Donald Odell says, thanks and right on. Those Smith & Wesson semi-autos were overlooked and underrated. I agree. I see you guys are talking about that Osprey crash. Scott Lyle, check and see if you got the Cold War medal. They sent me one. I don't know. I don't know if I qualify for that or not. I'll have to look into it. That was one of the ones that I saw when I was sort of, searching online and trying to figure out some of this. I saw a reference to the Cold War medal. I don't know. I mean, I was in from 85 to 89 and then recalled in 91 for Desert Storm. So I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Delaware Dave formed a correct military record, including adding a ribbon, DD 149, and that's what we filled out the other day. So they're supposedly going to be sending me my National Defense Medal, so that'll be nice, and I can add that to my uniform for next year's Marine Corps birthday video. And Jeff Tim, I'm reading your comments. Says U.S. Army called it the National Defense Service Medal, the Fire Guard ribbon, 1972. Nixon called off the war and sent me to Texas for 39 months. Well, probably better go to Texas than Vietnam, would be my guess. Will am I, Merchant Mariners, who were in the sandbox, got a belated medal 2 years after the fact. And that was another thing I was thinking because when I got out of the Marine Corps in 91, I thought if anything was authorized, retroactively, if it was a year or two after Desert Storm, and somebody decided there was a medal, there was a liberation of a Kuwait liberation medal, and there was another one that I can't remember right off the top of my head. And it turns out both of those required personnel to be in the Gulf in order to qualify for those. But I never even knew they existed. So that there was kind of a whole period of time, I guess, that I was looking into this and trying to figure it out. And turns out that it looks like the only one I qualify for is that National Defense Medal. But at least it's something for getting recalled back into the Marine Corps and serving that time again. And I don't know, it's something. Ben Crane is bowing out for the Friday night cocktail. Enjoy yourself, Ben. Oh, thinking it's NyQuil. Yeah, I hope you feel better soon. Paul Freed, your 84 to 89 service who qualify for the Cold War medal. All right, cool. I'll have to look into that. Stuart Grimm got that medal for being in basic training during the first Gulf War. And what are we up to here? 53 minutes, and we got 68 people here. Thanks to all of you for joining in and participating. This has been a great evening. It's exactly what I was hoping for. I'm going to stick around here for about another 6 minutes. We'll make it an even hour for the show this evening. So if you've got any last minute questions, comments, nasty remarks, if you have nasty remarks, direct those toward Ben Crane. But anything else, be sure to get them in here, and I'll try to respond to that before the show ends. Jaron Wilson is here. Hello to you. Navy 95. I know you told me that you sold it already. And wait a second. Apparently, that's a response to somebody else, it looks like. Oh, Ben Crane's not bowing out. We're gonna have to deal with him on NyQuil. Uh-oh. Ray Bodie was in college during the first Gulf War. Ah, youngster. Still won't be as bad as I wonder where Rabbi is tonight. Maybe we're better off not knowing. Paul Freed, quit trying to get medals. It was a pain in the ass to update my ribbon rack. Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking too. I'm gonna have to figure out now how to add that fourth ribbon, but I'll figure it out. We have a place not too far away in the city of Barberton, Ohio. It's called Stars and Stripes. Uh, Phenomenal, like a surplus store, but they also have, uniforms and ribbons and medals and all those things. So, whenever anybody has something like that they need to get, that they can go in, either, people that are on active duty or people that rate those things that want to get it for a display or whatever, you can take your DD214 in there, and they can provide those for you. So that's fantastic. And that's another thing that was kind of weighing on my mind as I'm thinking about putting together this display, that I can go there and I can get all the appropriate things and put those on there and at least have something. Uh, and this all came about. I suppose I should tell the story. When my father-in-law passed away recently, he was a U.S. Navy veteran. My wife was looking into all of his awards and decorations and whatever from the Korean War era, so that they would have that appropriately marked on his marker at the National Cemetery, and be able to have that in the display for her family as well. And that's what started me thinking about this. Someday maybe my son or my daughter might think it's cool to have something of mine to sort of commemorate that service. So that's how I started down this road. Katie Cowboy, did you have to go to a different range to test the rifle for tomorrow's video? Not this time. I did not go to the big range yet. This was on a 100-yard range for tomorrow because I'm just trying to establish a baseline accuracy. But I will be going to the bigger ranges soon. Jaron Wilson working on a deal with his father-in-law, Benelli M3 and M4 for $3,000. All right. Well, I hope that works out for you. Ray Bodie, no, Kennedy was president when I was born. You know what? Johnson was president when I was born. I was born in 66, so that would have been Lyndon Johnson. Jeff Tim 73, not the oldest person here. Jeff, there's a lot of times that I thought most of the people I know who are worth knowing are 70 years old or older. That generation that preceded me. So I'm glad you're here. 1712, enjoy your YouTube videos. Keep them coming. I will. Thank you for watching. Stuart Grimm, any opinion on to go along with my Hungarian FEG PJK Springfield SA35? Thinking about getting one. The FEG pistols were really pretty good. There were a number of different variations of them. The Charles Daly high power that I had was actually, it came into this country as a parts kit from FEG, and the finish, fitting, and machining was performed by two different places here in the United States. One was Dan Wesson, and the other one was Magnum Research. And they're good firearms, well built. That's the one, if you saw, that I had redone by BH Spring Solutions a while back. New finish, new trigger system, all that. It's a phenomenal handgun. In fact, it's the one that I had when I was at House of Pain the other day. So I think Ben Crane saw that. He might be able to vouch for me that it's a cool pistol. Jeeps Cafe, do you have a favorite 1911 manufacturer? You know what? These days, I'm thinking it's Tezos. I mean, I'd like to say Colt. I'd like to say Smith and Wesson, but for the money, the Tezos pistols are really, really good. Uh, Badgedoc, what do you think of the J-frame general carry and self-defense? My most carried handgun is a J-frame Smith& and Wesson Model 342. 2-inch, 38 special, 5-shot. It's the one that I can drop in my pocket and run out the door, and I do, and I carry that thing a lot. So I'm a big fan of J-frames. They're just extremely, extremely handy. Navy 95, HR, you missed it. FN Reflex. You told me you sold yours. I I didn't sell it because I never bought it. That was loaned to me by House of Pain for the review that I did. I didn't care for it, and I just returned it back to them. So it wasn't really sold. It's just went back with them. Jaron Wilson related to the first soldier buried at Arlington. Wow, that's kind of cool. Ray Bodie's not putting the Cold War on his stone. Ben Crane thinks he's the youngster. Well, you probably are. You're a whippersnapper. Scott Lyle, glad to hear you're still using the Tank Commander. Rewatched your videos on it again today, and think I'll pick one up. I really like the Tank Commander. I'll tell you something else that I like too is the new aviators they have that are the two-tone commander size pistols. I'm really liking those things. I haven't seen one yet in real life, but from the photos I've seen, it looks like a cool handgun. Ray Bodie have an FEG GKK 45, and no, it's not a high power clone. I'll have to look that one up. I'm not sure what that is. Stuart Grimm, I think I've only ever known of one person. No, I guess I know two that own an SA 35. They both speak highly of them. I've not handled or shot one myself. I've seen a couple of them, but I can't give you any firsthand impressions of them. Katie Cowboy, I think he must be talking to somebody else about the Gerson Witness. What's the going price for a gold cup? I'm not sure. Probably in the $1,500 range, I would guess. I know when I got my Colt competition series, it was 1,200, and I'll bet a gold cup is another couple $300 more than that. Paul Woodall was born in '68. You and I are still young. I'll go with that. Ocean Piper, what do you think of the Walther PDP? Never shot one. I've seen them. I don't even know if I've ever handled one, but I know they have a great reputation. They're made by Walther, so I have no reason to think that they would be anything other than a great handgun, but I just don't have any personal experience with them. Teddy Two Guns sold my Ronin, had lots of jams with it. Don't think I'll ever buy another Springfield. That's too bad. Jeff Tim, Model 38 J frame from 1975, second oldest gun in the battery. My friend, who's still a chief of police, at least for another couple of weeks, he's about to retire, has a Model 38. His is one of the nickel Model 38s from back in the day, probably late 80s manufacturer. You can't pry that thing out of his hands. He's had it for years. He loves it, and it's a great revolver. 1712 guy has Tezos 1911. Love it. Right out of the box, ran hollow point ammo with no issues. Had it for a year and a half, or had it for about a year, and carry it once in a while. Yeah, they are great 1911s. So we have exceeded the 1 hour point, everyone. We're up to almost an hour and 5 minutes. So I'm going to start to wrap things up here. Thank you to all of you for joining tonight. This has been a tremendous experience. You are Rabbi is here. He made it. finally, and made a $10 contribution. Thank you, Rabbi. We were talking about you earlier, but it was all good things. Don't believe anything Ben Crane might tell you to the contrary. But anyway, thanks to all of you for joining. Um, you all make the YouTube experience for me. It is not working with YouTube. It is definitely not to get rich or anything else. It is my interaction with all of you, and it is just absolutely outstanding. To my channel members, again, a special thank you. Um, Again, all of you really helped me out on those months where YouTube seems to demonetize everything. At least I've got that revenue stream coming in from you. So thank you very much. We've got a lot of great things coming up. Again, nothing is going to be posted the week of Christmas. Rabbi, I said this earlier. You're going to have to find something else to do that week too. I'm sure you can watch a movie or spend time with the family or something like that. But nothing the week of Christmas. There will be, we're coming up probably the week between Christmas and New Year's will be my favorite firearm of 2023 video. I do one of those every year, and they always seem to be kind of a crowd favorite. It's a hard video for me to do when I look at all the firearms that have come into my collection during the course of the last 12 months. I have to try to find my favorite one of that group. But I managed to make my way through it, and I'll be doing that again this year. And that video, as I said, is going to be posting the week between Christmas and New Year's. For all of you out there, if I don't get a chance to talk to you again, have a Merry Christmas. Have a happy Hanukkah. Have a happy Kwanzaa. Anything you celebrate this time of year, I don't care what it is. Have a great holiday season. Enjoy the time with your family and friends. And I will see you again coming up. Again, if I don't have another live stream this year, I'll see you live again in the new year. That's going to do it for tonight, folks. So until we talk again, good shooting and bye-bye for now.